So, hello! We have finally printed our jewelry box, and now I'm gonna show you how we put it together. So, we made this GIF in pieces in order to print them better, faster, and more durable. So, one of the main reasons we separate our prints is this. So, we will together put this guy, and afterwards we're going to sandpaper it, fill in the gaps, and after the finale, we're going to paint it. Now, you're going to need a file. It can be any kind of a file in order to sand some rough parts, because sometimes sandpaper wouldn't be strong enough to clean it, and this kind of be faster and more useful way to do it. Other than that, we need to sand both sides and make sure that we don't clog up the holes and clean them properly. So I cleaned the holes beforehand before I started recording so that we have much more time to work on our project. Now, we will make sure that every corner is sanded because we're going to use epoxy to fuse these two parts into one. And the best way to do it is leaving these holes and using either printed buttons, guides, or using any other kind of stuff. So also, before we glue these guys together, it is easier to sandpaper the rough corners. For example, these corners have a little bit textures on them, printing texture. So we are going to fold our sandpaper neatly and start sanding it slowly but surely. And make sure that you use rough grit at first, then slowly get to the higher grits. For example, this one I'm using is 40 grit or 80 grit, I think. Also, as you can see the print lines we have there, we're going to use two composite epoxies that we're going to knead into each other. Then we're going to apply those along the edges and into the spaces with too many print lines. We don't want our gift to look like too much print, if you know what I mean, because sometimes having this problem is a lot. So let's test our push fit, our studs. Make sure that it goes in smoothly and make sure that it is for the right hole, because every hole has their own studs, as you remember from the modeling session we had. Now, after we put all of the studs in there, and after we cleaned the rough parts, well, stuff like that can happen. So don't be harsh on yourself. It's a 3D print. We can always fix it and make it stronger. Now, we will combine those two parts with our to mix liquid epoxy. So the reason I use this kind of epoxy to fuse these parts into to get each other is it is much more stronger and much more durable in long run. And from my experience, it is really good. So any brand that you prefer, you should use that. This one I prefer and found in my local hardware. So let's squeeze enough material and let's mix them thoroughly. Make sure that they are fixed evenly and equally. Make sure to have both mixes equally on the plate, then slowly apply it to all of the surfaces we're going to combine into one, so that it has a strong bond with each other. Okay. Also, we don't need to cover the both pieces, but we will cover the one piece thoroughly, really well. Otherwise, it's not going to stick well and going to have a gap between parts and it will look horrible. Trust me, we don't want that. Make sure to get this stuff in every crook and cranny possible. Afterwards, we'll be ready to continue on our sanding journey, and after that we will apply our composite epoxy to the crooks and crannies and fill in those gaps. Now, make sure to fit everything together even if you need to hit it with a hammer. So, 1 second, yes. Now, after I hit it with a hammer, it fit perfectly. So, make sure that your studs are a little bit slimmer than the holes you made for them. Otherwise, it will have problems going into each other. Also, after we combine the pieces and it dried, make sure that you let these parts dry for a little while before you continue working. Otherwise, it's not going to be solid as you like. Afterwards, we will use rest of our epoxy, liquid epoxy mix, to fill in the bigger gaps, because no matter what we do, we slice this piece by splitting it right in the middle by a boolean modifier. Because of that, it will leave a gap no matter what you do. So make sure that you fill in those gaps properly and clean them after you applied your epoxy. So we will work on that as well after I finish applying these epoxies. Don't be shy and use a lot of epoxy while doing this. Also make sure that you wear a mask if your epoxy has any thinners, acetone, or any chemicals in it, or you will have a lot of problems along the way. Trust me, it's not worth your risking your life. Wear a mask and open all the windows in your room or workstation. I don't suggest or approve anyone doing these kind of stuffs without gloves or masks. Don't mind me using my hands, because my hands are calcified long time ago, so I'm alright doing these kind of stuff. But if you don't want to get sticky stuff on your hands, make sure to wear some gloves. They are cheap and you can find them in most stores. So after we done, you see, fits like a glove. That's some craftsmanship, trust me. 100% handmade. And many people going to object me by saying, "Oh, you're using plastic." Yes. Yes, I am. I'm showing it to you. Take your goddamn sandpaper and start sanding, dude. Or this print lines ain't gonna clean themselves. Anyhow, sand. Make sure that you use good quality sandpaper. If not, you're going to suffer like me, because I use cheap quality sandpaper, and after a few strokes, the sandpaper comes apart, literally like paper. Its name is sandpaper. It shouldn't be like paper. Make sure that you buy good sandpaper. These I had bought in stock, so I have to use them, because I don't like to buy new stuff while I have old stuff to finish, if you know what I mean. Anyways, we will continue on sanding, and I'll get you after I've done that. So, the corners and crannies that you can't easily sandpaper, so we will fill those gaps with our 2-part composite epoxy. We will take some blue and green epoxy. So I would suggest you to use epoxy that is water solvent, so that you can use water to make the epoxy much more smoother. Unlike this one, I had to use this one because I found this one more plausible. You can use wood filler or any other kind of stuff like this. I would really recommend you to use anything like milliput. And if you're into using, how can I say, if you're into Warhammer or any miniature making hobby, you'll know your stuff. And using milliput is one of the best parts. Like, it's easy to use, easy to apply, and it's strong and solid. But it's expensive, so choose your own demons. So, in order to mix this and don't get your hands dirty, either use oil and cover your hands, and make sure to dip your hands in water and your epoxy into water to make sure that it is a little bit more pliable. Otherwise, it's going to take a lot more time and so much more effort. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that it is both easy and fun. So don't torment yourself. After we've done that, apply a little bit of our epoxy and use some water to smooth it out. Apply epoxy, use water to smooth it out. Apply epoxy, make sure that you press it and push it into all of the crooks and crannies. And if your finger doesn't fit there, use any other tool that you can find in your room or anything that you have in mind. I would recommend using sculpting tools, those silicone tip ones. They are great for doing these kind of stuff. And if you ask me why I don't use those, because I don't have one at the moment. I use my fingers. They're my tools. They are my tools. God damn it. They will do these works. Also, I would highly recommend you all to wear gloves. Or you need to wash your hands a lot. And by a lot, like vigorously scratching all those epoxies out of your hand will take some time and good amount of effort. So be prepared for that. When your epoxy dries, dip your hands in the water and make sure to apply like that. Otherwise, you will have cracks and uneven parts. So make sure to do that. And after we are done with those, we will sand these as well, because I don't want to leave it as I apply it, because it's going to look rough and unprofessional. And I want my gift to look most beautiful as possible, because I'm putting too much effort into this, and I rather, how can I say it, commit to this work or not. There is no in betweens. Do it or do not. There is no try. Do or do not. There is no try. Like our Master Yoda said. Anyways, after we done that, make sure to you cover the rest of the gift box as well. And after we're done that, we need to make sure that we have a hobby knife, and we will chisel out the rough parts of these dried epoxy and make sure that it is dried to bone like density, and it will sound like something closer to this. Or I rather get the I forgot where I put the jewelry box, so I will leave it for now. Make sure that you clean everything and make sure to be careful while using these kind of stuffs. Hobby knives are too sharp and they can get dull easily, so if you had another hobby knife, hold one of them firm, then get the other one. And how can I explain this without showing it? Well, I'll show it. I'll cover that in the next episode. For now, make sure to don't cut yourself, and while pushing the knife forwards yourself against yourself, don't do that. Instead, push outwards. Otherwise, if the blade misses its point, it will struck you and you will bleed. You will not die, but it doesn't look good. And doesn't feel good as well, so don't cover yourself in blood. Please be careful using these tools. Nothing is much more better than your health and safety. Be aware of those and don't pretend that you're invisible. We are very much fragile. Humans are fragile. So be aware of that. Anyways, we're going to clean the rest of the epoxy. And I'll get you after I clean this. Damn it. My knife is dull. We need to make sure that we clean all of this. And it will take time. So let's skip forward. And now we sanded everything as intended. However, if you run against some tough spots and sandpaper doesn't work, or after you're done with your low grade sandpaper, after you sand it down, make sure that you clean the seams as well. And if you have a Dremel, use it. It will take less time. I don't have a Dremel. I have a power drill. So I will use that when I need to. But if you're a hobby into handcrafting anything, I would suggest you to buy hand dremels. They are much more easier than doing it by hand. And if you ask me why I don't buy a hand dremel, I don't know. I just feel too lazy to go to the hardware store to get it. Yeah, I'm not lazy enough to send this guy, but I'm lazy enough to buy a new tool because I have tools. I don't need many more tools. I need to stop. Anyways, I'll catch you after I'm done sending. Okay, now, like I said, if you have a Dremel kit or a Dremel, use it. I have a power drill, and I will use my power drill as I wish. You will not stop me from using my strong and powerful power drill. And after you're done with 80 grit, go up higher to 120. Or if you have something better, use that. And make sure to sand every crook and cranny. Okay, after we covered everywhere and make sure everything is sanded down neatly and cleanly. Let's check, or better than checking, let's connect the top part to our top of our jewelry box. So this is a crucial part. Turn on your lights if you work in a dim environment. You need to make sure that you see everything, and cover the top cover the top part that we're going to connect to the necklace part. We need to make sure that we cover this whole place inside and out with epoxy in order to make sure it has a strong grip and doesn't break anytime soon. My golden rule is if you're committed to craft anything, make sure that it is strong and durable. Unless you're making a miniature. There's no way making them safe and strong. It's impossible. Instead making them miniature, you make them ginormous statues. Then they will be strong. Nah, nope. Nothing is strong enough other than human spirit. It is unbreakable, unbendable. Oh, wait. Yeah, after considering some politics, yeah, human spirit is bendable and corruptible as everything else. Anyways, let's move on. And if you're like me, careless enough to get some epoxy in your hands and apply it to everywhere, use your fingers then. Who am I to stop you? Now, after we put our parts together, we need to make sure that it is pressed down. If you have any compression device, use it. I have rubber band, so I'm going to make sure to tie it tightly and neatly as possible and tighten it strong and much as I can in order to it has a good connection and strong grip. Because if you don't press down on this part, it will come loose or break apart too easily. So make sure to do that, and after you're done, you can take off your stuff. But you need to wait for it to dry. While it dries, let's paint our drawer. After we are done that, let's get some milliput. So I have milliput, but I don't recommend it using everywhere because it's expensive. So I'm going to use it where it counts most, the top part, because it's the most visible part and it is water solvent, so I can apply it with just a wet brush or my finger. So I will use that. And make sure to use that. Okay, so get a little bit of milliput, put some water in the cup, and crush the milliput down into a paste. Water it down a little. Don't put too much water. We don't want murky water. We want liquefied milliput. Why I do this is instead of covering every little speck and cranny above, because the top part is much more detailed. So it's going to take a lot more time to fill those cracks and print lines. So in order to make it much easier, I'm going to liquefy some melee put and apply it with a brush. And easy is that. Sometimes some things are much more easier than we imagine. So, do some experiments. I just found out this technique while I was doing this jewelry box. So, like I said, be innovative. Or correct way to say that word, whatever it's pronounced. I don't know. And we will wait for it to dry. Give it few minutes, or better, give it an hour or two, so it dries. While it dries, let's paint our drawer, and we painted it. How quickly! I'm joking. Okay, after we painted it with a black primer or any spray paint that you like, after it dries, get some sandpaper and sand it a little, but make sure it is high grit. What I mean is not 500 grit or, oh yeah, above 500 grit, not 200, not 300, above 500. First, let's split our paper into bits, and we will sand it slowly and with a round motion, not front and straight forward, forward and backward motion. Instead, we will use it like how we brush our teeth. Little bit circular motions are better to remove print lines. So, why are we sanding it after we painted it? Well, in order to fill in the gaps, we prime the model. Afterwards, we sand the first few layers to see if it's covered well enough. We don't want to sand it to the original filament. Instead, we will sand it lightly to smooth out the surface. We will apply a few more coats of our spray paint. Then it will look much more smoother. And you will thank me when you're painting your miniatures or something like this. It will look much more clear. Trust me. Okay, let's apply our second coat, and we've done that. As you can see, I finished my first coat and I sand it down to make sure it is clean. So let's get our let's get our paint and apply our second or third coat. Then we will sand it with 1000 grit paper. Then it will be done. And make sure that you don't have any dust. And after we've done that, let's see. Yes, it is looking much better. Okay, so I have finished everything. We put everything together. As you can see, our top and bottom parts are connected and our drawer looking fresh and beautiful. So I recorded the painting tutorial for this, but I didn't like the way I recorded it, so unfortunately I'm not going to show you the painting way, but I will reveal how it looks after I uploaded this video. So stay tuned for that. And as you can see, fits like a glove. So this is one way to make a gift for your significant other, your friend, or your family member. To me, it's for my beautiful partner. So, thank you all for joining me in today's session, and I'll see you in the next episode. Stay safe, stay awesome. Bye!